Edmonton Oilers are headed back to the Stanley Cup Final after defeating the Dallas Stars 6-3 and taking the series in a gentleman's sweep. 4-1 as we got a bunch of nasties here. Can I get a win, yeah? There we go. There you go. There they are. Hey, everybody, Tom Gazzola with you live on location at Hudson's White Avenue, a very hot, sticky Hudson's White Avenue, very happy Hudson's White Avenue. Hernan, Salas at our global HQ on the city's west side, and then we've got Matt Kassian at his satellite studio. Join the conversation. Text us 780-218-9999, and if you want to get into the nasty chat, you can do so on YouTube. GCL Diesel. There it is. There it is. There it is. Love it. Big Uke leading the charge there. Shout out to Big Uke, Cal in the Park, Rob from the Grove, VR Montenegro, Graham from Kid Sport. Ellen was here. Sarah's here. Oh, man, I feel like I'm forgetting people. The Combine crew is here. Absolutely great night. GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final here in Edmonton, Wednesday, June 4th, as we welcome in Cass and Hernan. Cass, we'll start with you. They're going back to the Cup. They're going back to the Cup Final, and they did it in impressive fashion. Nanso, what do you guys think? Go ahead. I'll go to you, Cass, and then Nanso, take it away.
Hey, you're back where you want to be. The job's not done yet. Job is not done yet. It's a great thing. You're giving yourself a chance, and it's a 50-50 chance, right? It's not a 1 in a million chance here. You're back in the Stanley Cup Final where you want to be. Beautiful thing. Great win. Not the perfect win. Not the cleanest win. Doesn't matter. Yeah, close out the series, and you're going to play the Panthers for the Stanley Cup. It's a great thing.
Cheers to Connor and the entire crew at Hudson's. Borley, thank you guys so much. Great hosts. We appreciate it. Woo! Go ahead, Hernan.
Yeah, I mean, it's great seeing Leon talk with Gene there, and a lot of hard work for these guys. You know, it didn't start well. Those first 2 games, boys, it was chaos here in Edmonton. Yeah, but man, they've only lost twice since, which is absolutely impressive. They didn't miss a beat tonight, boys. I mean, Ekholm steady as can be. Jeff Skinner scores, which is just unreal. There's something about this team, boys. Listen. It's going to be a tough battle. Florida is right there with the Oilers in terms of the way they play, the fight, everything they have. But there's something brewing here with this Edmonton team, man. They just won't be denied. Every time Dallas made it close, the Oilers found a way. And I know we got a lot to talk about, boys, but how can you not be happy for the Edmonton Oilers? Back-to-back Stanley Cup appearances. And here we go, boys. Here we
Western
go.
Conference champions yet again, second consecutive year. And, they mean business. It certainly looks like it. They want nothing more than redemption against the Florida Panthers after their 7-game loss last year. All right, I'll throw this at you guys before we dive into the stats and the scoring summary and the chat, obviously. How impressed are you that they've won these last 2 series in 5 games? I mean, there's a lot of people who picked LA. They got through LA in 6. There's a lot of people that picked the Golden Knights. They got through them in 5. Then people are going, all right, well, this is the Dallas Stars. I was included. I thought this was going 6. I thought Edmonton was ultimately going to win it. They get it done in 5. The gentleman's sweep. We're going to see a crazy gentleman's sweep show tomorrow. The boys have something in store, but it's very impressive that they're being so efficient, especially in these last 2 rounds, Cass.
Absolutely it is. I picked Edmonton in 7. I thought this one was going to go 7. I thought it was going to be a long, drawn-out slog of a series until I saw Game 1. And I know they lost Game 1, but the second I saw Game 1 and saw the 2 teams match up head-to-head and saw how Edmonton was capable of playing, I was like, oh, this could be over a lot sooner than 7 games. And certainly it was very, very, very impressive by the Edmonton Oilers. They won 3 out of those 4 games in dramatically different ways. playing a dramatically different game.
Yes.
And that to me is what was the most impressive of this. It wasn't like every game was a shootout. It wasn't like every game was just special teams. It's like every game had its own flavor to it. Pretty much the entire series. And barring an Edmonton Oilers dramatic collapse, which shouldn't have happened in game one on that penalty kill, they would have swept this thing. So a gentleman's sweep indeed.
It is a thing.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Cass, it's almost like they're just not going to be denied this time around. Like it's no matter what's been thrown at them. And Tommy's right. Like you look at all the experts in every network and around the NHL, it was almost 70% and over. Cass, we lost him there. That we're picking the Dallas Stars in this one, and again
they were Hernan.
The Oilers just dusted both of these teams, and LA was supposed to come in with more depth and all this stuff. It just seems they just won't be denied. And happy for Stuart Skinner, who took a lot of heat in this. Evan Bouchard, and hey, I'm guilty of it too. I'll admit it. I was hard on those guys, and guys like Kapanen stepping up, and today Jeff Skinner. It's just been unreal. But it's amazing how they've dominated two very, very, very good teams, or three good teams. Sorry, guys.
Troll texting. It said, gentlemen's sweep show. LG. Pat in the county says, let's go. Can I get a win? Yeah, gentlemen's sweep. Ho Daddy says, here's a stats mind bender to look up for you guys. How many teams have had home ice in the Stanley Cup Final after starting on the road for the first 3 rounds? That's Ho Daddy. We would definitely have to look that up, Ho Daddy. I'm sure Swainer's probably cooking something up stats-wise. Let's get to the scoring summary from this one and the game stats. Cory Perry got things started very early on. 2:31 in, first shot for the Oil. He puts it past Jake Oettinger for his 7th of the playoffs on a nice feed from Connor McDavid. Leon Draisaitl, the other helper, on the power play. Edmonton takes the lead yet again in this series. Then Matthias Janmark on a nice play by Victor Arvidsson after a very heads-up pass from Jake Wallman, who found Arvidsson at the blue line. Long tape-to-tape pass. Little chip in to Janmark, and he goes and he tucks it in. Connor's giving me the full schedule. We got Wednesday the 4th, Friday the 6th, Monday the 9th, Thursday the 12th, Saturday the 14th, June the 17th is a Tuesday, and Game 7 would wind up on June 20th. That is a Friday here in Edmonton. Thank you to Connor Yakubuski from Hudson's. All right, we continue with the scoring summary. Jeff Skinner, you guys, I know we talked about it off the top, his first goal of the playoffs. This guy is a playoff performer. 2 points in 2 games from Henrique and Frederick, banging home some garbage past Casey DeSmith. First or second shot against DeSmith, and it goes in at 8:07 early, 3-0 lead for the Oilers. Jason Robertson continued to have the hot hand, 3 straight games with goals. Robertson's 3rd of the postseason from Wyatt Johnston to make it 3-1 at 11:40. Things would get a little hairy at times for the Oilers. They would bend and not break. In the second period, Roope Hintz would cut the lead to 3-2 at 12:27 on the power play. Hintz is 6th on a nice feed from Wyatt Johnson, and Thomas Harley picking up the secondary assist. Connor McDavid would respond shortly after at 14:28. He goes in all alone, breakaway speed, tucks it past DeSmith for his 6th. Matthias Ekholm making his return. We'll talk about him in a bit, picking up his first assist of the playoffs. In the third period, the Oilers with that 2-goal lead, but Jason Robertson will pick up his 2nd of the evening from Mikko Rantanen and Thomas Harley. I did not like that goal. I don't think anybody really did. At 38 seconds, you're going, hold on to your horses. However, Evander Kane, fortuitous bounce, good play to put it towards the net. You never know what could happen. It goes off of Esa Lindell's skate and past DeSmith for Kane's 5th of the playoffs from Draisaitl and Wallman to make it 5-3, restore that 2-goal lead at 3:21, like I was saying, and then into the empty net, Kasperi Kapanen. He's got a couple of those unassisted to make it 6-3. Put this thing on ice at 19:49. Shots on goal tonight, you guys. 23-17 in favor of Edmonton. Face-offs much better tonight for Edmonton. 54.9 to 45.1. They got schooled the other night, but it doesn't matter. They get the job done, both Game 4 and Game 5. Power play 1 for 2. PK 1 for 2. Hits 48 for Edmonton, 43 for Dallas. Block shots 20 for the Oil, 13 for the Stars. Giveaways 17 for Edmonton, 14 for the Stars. Takeaway 6 officially for the Oilers, 3 for the Dallas Stars. All right. I want to start with this, guys. Jake Oettinger. Okay. 2 goals on 2 shots, 7:09 of work. The timeout's called by Pete DeBoer. And then Jake Oettinger's headed back to his net, and you see DeBoer yell and bring him back. Says to Smith into the net. Oettinger goes down the tunnel. What the hell happened there? How do we interpret that? Cass, go to you.
Well, Stuart Skinner outplayed him dramatically, and he wasn't good enough. And that's the bottom line. Jake Oettinger was not good enough. I don't necessarily think those goals were horrible goals on him.
Right.
But the reality is, you're down a couple games. You need your goalie to steal you one.
The way DeBoer did that, though, like...
Well, but what else was he supposed to do? Is he supposed to let him go back to the net? Like...
2 goals on 2 shots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found it interesting how he screamed at him to get back there.
Yeah, I was like, get the frick back here. And Cass, you played the game. I was seeing the reaction from a lot of media and guys that played the game, and it was almost 50-50. They're like, no, that's a good, like, you need to wake up your team. And others are like, I don't know if that was the right move.
Still pretty early for it, right?
Yeah, 7:09.
Yeah, I think the timeout was the right move.
Oh, yeah.
Take the timeout. I don't know about pulling the goalie yet at that point. Again, because it wasn't like they were horrible, awful, terrible goals. Like,
it's a breakaway,
absolute garbage. Yeah. So, and then a McDavid goal too on the power play. So it's not
right.
It's not like they're absolutely brutal goals where you're like, he's absolutely doesn't have it. So yeah, I don't know where I feel. Maybe it's just because the Oilers won and I don't care. But I don't know. Like, don't you guys feel like it's kind of like you're darned if you do, darned if you don't in that instance for DeBoer? Like, if you keep him in and you end up losing, everyone's like, well, why didn't you pull the goalie? And if you pull him and you lose, everyone's like, well, why'd you pull the goalie? Like, it kind of feels like there's no right answer for him in that situation.
Which ones? Because I'm seeing this online, guys. Which they're comparing it to the Hiller challenge. Would you put it up there in decisions of pulling Oettinger?
Maybe. I mean, Dallas had fight in that game. They had some fight. They pushed back a couple of times. They minimized leads. They closed to within 1 a couple of times. I don't think Casey DeSmith was particularly great on this night. I mean, you throw him in cold like that, and he gets scored on one of his first shots, and the Oilers take a commanding 3-0 lead. Like, DeSmith tonight, guys, 3 goals on, I think it was 20 shots. It was 3 on 20. It's not like he was lights out. I just... Did you lose your goalie on that one, Cass, as the head coach? Did you lose him? Does somebody have to leave the organization after that?
I mean, that's a pretty big, like, does somebody have to leave the organization? That's a pretty big, that's pretty big after that moment. I know. I mean, you have a goalie that what's he at? He's 8.55 or 8.5. Oettinger. And how long is DeBoer's contract? I'm not sure. But Ottinger's contract's a heck of a lot longer than DeBoer's. So if you're looking between the two of them, if somebody does have to go, probably not going to be Jake Oettinger. A lot easier to move on from that contract for Pete DeBoer, even if it's a couple years long. Don't know how long it is. But, it may be a little premature to say that. But the reality is you've had a couple years now where Jake Oettinger against the Edmonton Oilers has been outplayed.
Heavily, Cass. I think he froze.
Heavily, Cass. He froze. That's okay. We'll continue with that. Yes, he was heavily outplayed. And I don't know. If people are comparing it to the Jim Hiller move, and I'm in Dallas, I'm going, uh-oh. Because that was kind of alarming. So, I mean, if you're the Oilers, you're loving that. I know everybody here in Oilers jerseys was loving the pull. And as soon as they saw Oettinger skate back and DeSmith go in, and then the replay of DeBoer go, get the, you know what, back here, people are like, whoa. And I think that's when people here had the confidence in knowing, and it seemed like it was going to be Edmonton's night, and it certainly was. I thought that was significant. So that was, to me, that was a turning point in the game. Don't get me wrong. There were so many other things that happened throughout. All right, we got Cass back here. The way the Oilers handled the pushback from the Stars, how would you sum that up? Did you like their defense, Cass? And off the top, you're saying, well, I don't care. They just got it done. What was the key to holding the fort and making sure they maintain that lead?
Well, it was just barely holding the fort. Stuart Skinner making some key saves, I think. There's a couple, the one toe save, I can't remember who the Dallas player was, but the one toe save.
Great save, shorthanded.
Was the fantastic save.
Amazing.
And he kept them in it. So that was a big part of it. And also a big part of it was very much like Dallas outplayed them in a lot of ways. Dallas had more chances, more opportunities. Maybe not totals from a shot clock standpoint, but they pressed. They controlled the pace of the play. They controlled possession time for it, not the whole game, but a good chunk of the game. Stuart Skinner held them in when they did break through, and the Edmonton Oilers ultimately did a wonderful job of responding when they got scored on. When things didn't go their way, they didn't let it continue to pile up. Like if we go back to game one, they get scored on once, they get scored on twice, they get scored on 3 times in quick succession. It's like it continued to roll. It's like the momentum just overwhelmed them in that game one in the third period. And today, anytime Dallas did push with that momentum, did finally break through, did finally get the goal, Edmonton's next shift was very much in control.
Yes.
And they responded quickly from extending the lead again and separating a little bit and giving themselves that cushion. So it was I think a wonderful job of responding by the Edmonton Oilers in the moment during the game, where they seem to have that mentality of just whatever it takes, we're going to win this hockey game. Like, yeah, they got one. Who cares? We're going to go back out. We're going to play. We're going to get the next one, and we're going to win. And that's exactly what they did.
Nancito, what stood out to you about the Oilers game tonight?
Yeah, just like I'm looking at the scoring guys like Perry, Janmark, Skinner, Kane, Kapanen. Like that's what you want. That's what you need to win a Stanley Cup. It can't just be McDavid and Draisaitl, even though they're brilliant every single time. And McDavid's goal was enormous, right, boys? Like, and you brought it up, Tom, as well in the scoring summary. Scores right after when Dallas had a really good shift. I think it was in that second. It was like 1:30, boys, and I think Ekholm took the penalty in the late stages of that kind of push by the Dallas Stars. But just the commitment by everybody. Like you heard Simmer on the broadcast talk about Paul Coles and how good he's been defensively. You saw him battle there in that corner with Bichelle and some of the big boys, and Arvidsson's on the ground. And it like I said, like everybody's buying in, everybody's sacrificing everything they can to get back to the finals. And I'm so fascinated to see these two teams because I watch Florida play, guys, and they're the same, man. Like they go out all out, they hit everything. They're good offensively. They get scoring from everybody. So I can't wait for this to get started on Wednesday. But for me, it's just the all-around game of the Edmonton Oilers, and not seeing that lull when they get scored on. They come right back at you, man. So I think that's the best part about their game right now.
Tonight we had 12 skaters on the Oilers pick up points, 10 forwards. I'd say that's spreading it out and getting contributions from just about everybody. 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. The Oilers win the game 6-3. They win the series 4-1. A gentleman's sweep indeed. You will be having a gentleman's show tomorrow with Dusty Nielsen, Lieutenant Eric, and YouTube, Trav. It's going to be ridiculous and hilarious. I couldn't stop giggling when I watched those guys. I didn't know what to expect the other week. And after the win over the Golden Knights, I found myself laughing. And then Lieutenant Eric, when he does his Mr. Mike's, was it the Plaza Palooza or whatever, Reid, is absolutely hilarious too. So Platter Palooza. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow on this station. All right. Matthias Ekholm makes his return tonight, guys. Ekholm plays 15:52, 24 shifts, +2, picks up a big assist. He had 2 block shots, 1 giveaway on the night. And, I mean, I saw, outside of seeing TD Force go over to talk to him briefly a couple of times, I thought he looked okay. I think he seemed all right. Guys, what did you see?
Yeah, limited minutes a little bit, which is, I think we all expected them to. More onus put on Kulak and Nurse tonight, and on Nurse in particular, who had maybe been playing not completely limited minutes with Stetcher, but semi-limited minutes, where we saw a shift in terms of the deployment of the Edmonton Oilers defense, but not totally protected either by Matthias Ekholm. So I think a good game to get his feet underneath him. You get the one game in, now you're going to be stepping into the Stanley Cup final, and at least you have a game under your belt. Like you're back a little bit. You're going to have a couple days of full practice here, and you're going to be ready to go. So I think it was a big positive for him. You get a couple pluses. You're limited, semi-limited in the situations where they put him in with the intent of seeing him succeed. And I think there was a right decision as far as not playing him too much, but playing him enough to let him feel comfortable and get back into a groove.
Hernandez.
And how about, just playing with the lead boys, right? Because then you can dial back his minutes, right? It's not, you don't need him out there as, every shift. And like you said, Tom, the lowest ice time on ice for defenseman. But again, every time he was out there, I thought he looked good. I mean, the penalty, it is what it is. But I think also having a 3-goal lead and being able to kind of limit his minutes was very important. It's different if they're down 3-0. He's probably playing a lot more in that situation. So good for him. I thought he's only going to get better. And like Cass said, it's so important that he got one game in before the big finals that starts on Wednesday. So very important for him.
The other guy that came in today was Jeff Skinner. He gets a goal. He has points in both the playoff games he's played in his career. If Connor Brown's good to go, is it as simple as, thank you, Jeff. Hang tight. We might need you again, but Connor Brown's ready to go. Cass?
Say that again, buddy.
Just basically, if Connor Brown's good to go, do you say, thank you, Jeff Skinner, appreciate it, be ready to go just in case?
Yeah, I couldn't hear if Connor Brown is ready. Yeah, if Connor Brown's ready to go, I think Skinner probably comes to the lineup. And I appreciate that Skinner scored, and that's fine. It is okay. I appreciate that Jeff Skinner stepped in and he scored a playoff goal. That's a huge goal. It's a wonderful thing. It's great. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the team. He contributed.
Yes.
Connor Brown brings you a little bit more playoff hockey. And I think against a team like the Florida Panthers, Connor Brown brings you a little bit more playoff hockey. So that's who I'm sticking with.
Fair enough. All right, get those texts in 780-218-9999. Nasty chat, do your thing. Tom Gazzola live on location at a sweltering Hudson's White Ave. They had these windows open, guys, and it was beautiful. And then that severe wind warning happened, and then the storm, and they had to rush everybody inside. And then now it's just all hot and humid in here. It feels like a Florida hot and humid, sticky day. And I'm just I'm boiling right now.
You look sweaty, Tom.
I'm sweating, dude. The poor waitresses and servers, I was looking at them how are you girls still on your feet right now? And they're we're taking ice cubes and putting it all over us when we get a minute long break because it got muggy in here. This building has to be 110 years old. So it wasn't designed with modern AC, I don't think. But it was a great time, great vibe in here. And now it's a bit sticky and humid. And I'm sitting there going like this. I've got a 6 o'clocker. I've got an iced tea. Big thank you to Janai for taking care of me tonight. All right, let's dive into some texts here. If you have any questions for Cass, fire those our way. Let's start with this one. It says, y'all would really rather have Arvidsson in versus the Panthers over Skinner. Arby is going to get steamrolled by the Cats. Do you buy that, Cass?
Say that again one more time.
I'll read it again. It says, y'all would really rather have Arvidsson in versus the Panthers over Skinner. Arby is going to get steamrolled by the Cats.
Yeah. I do. But
Skinner's not?
Skinner's not.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know how Skinner's going to stand up better than Arvidsson will. And I think Arvidsson's game is more suited to that bottom six style.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
I'll be honest with you. I have nothing against Jeff Skinner. I tease about I don't feel sorry. The guy's made a ton of money. He's had a very good career. Hasn't been a particularly good fit with the Oilers, but he has played better since the turn of the calendar over to 2025. I'm a little bit surprised at how much of a quiet roar there is for him to be back in when he really hasn't done anything to warrant that. It surprises me. I'm not put off by it. I'm just kind of like, I didn't expect to hear and see that from fans of this team. How about you, Nanso?
That's a tough one, Tom.
It's just surprising. It's like, did not have that on the bingo card, but okay, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah. He's a likable guy, I guess.
He is, for sure, but, I mean, I don't know. Cass, I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, I mean,
we all are.
yeah. No, here's, like, I think it is because it's the story.
Yeah.
It's the story. That's what it is, right? It's he never got to play in the playoffs before. And now he's finally on a team in the playoffs and you're not playing him. And look, he's played 2 games and he's got 2 goals or 2 points. Like, so play him. I think that's probably what's driving it, is the people that want the feel-good story or that already buy into the feel-good story about it. And it is a feel-good story. I mean, I'm happy that he stepped in the lineup and he scored. I'm happy that he's getting some playoff games here. But if I'm looking up and down my lineup, I probably want Arvidsson in front of him. And is it a great story? Yes.
Yeah.
But I'd still rather have Arvidsson in the lineup.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Here's go ahead, Nanso. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, listen, for Skinner, he's got 2 games in. He's got his goal. I mean, I'm not saying it's enough, and there's a good potential. He could win it all, but obviously he's not going to be, he's not going to be happy with only playing in 2 games if that is the case. But in the end, he did contribute when he did play, and I think that's a good feeling for him. Probably not what he wanted being in every game, but he can look back and say, "Hey, I scored a goal in the clinching game against Dallas." Who knows if he gets in the finals? But
hey, and look at it this way too. I mean, there's no negative to any of this, to be honest with you. If Arvidsson does get steamrolled against the Panthers and it doesn't work out, they can go to Skinner. And I think they'd do it relatively quickly, wouldn't they?
Yep. Well, that's just it. It's like it gives you the option and the depth, and having Skinner step in and score a couple goals when he comes in the lineup is great because now hey, I can put him in and he could produce. He could be that. He could help. So, yeah, it gives you options.
All right. Let's go to CB Radio Guy. This is an interesting one. A CB Radio Guy texting in saying, I didn't love the D pairings, fellas. Kulak struggled till they made changes. I'll go to Cass on this one first. Kulak was paired up with Nurse to start the game. What did you think of the D pairings tonight? It was a little bit different with the Ekholm reinsertion into the lineup.
Yeah. Adjusting a little bit, I think, for Kulak. But I think as a whole, we saw Dallas make a big push. Right? We saw Dallas make a big push. And as a whole, the team was at times in a little bit of a bend but don't break scenario. And Kulak certainly was a part of that. I think there's a reason that you see both Kulak and Darnell Nurse leading the way in terms of ice time. Yeah. From a team standpoint. Right? Like those two, and you could say that they struggled. And you could say Kulak struggled early. Guy still finished +3. And guess what? Point. He led the team in ice time. So clearly the coaching staff didn't feel that he struggled the whole night. Now, again, there was moments, there was times when Dallas was pressing that I thought as a whole, maybe Kulak a little scrambly and the team a little bit
giveaway
scrambly.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, the one giveaway. So it wasn't a perfect game from him, but I still think as a whole, that pairing was still pretty steady. And you needed them to be because you weren't going to play Ekholm, that 20 minutes plus. So, I just Kulak is a guy out of all the defensemen, and Bouchard too in the playoffs, I guess. Playoff Bouch, the butcher. The butcher of Park Avenue.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah, the butcher of Park Avenue, Evan Bouchard. Him either. But Kulak is a guy I don't worry about because he shows up in big games. And yes, there were some bend tonight. Guy still freaking ends up +3, so I'm not worried about it.
Point. Really quickly, Hernan, before you take over and have your say, the time on ice tonight, like Cass was talking about, 22-32 for Kulak leading the way. And then it was Nurse at 21.35, Bouchard at 20.40, Wallman at 20.20, John Klingberg 17.29, and then you had Matthias Ekholm, his first game since April 11th, playing 15.52. Nancito.
I'll just say this about Kulak. He's one defenseman on this team I'll be honest, I never worry about. I mean, you're going to have rough shifts here and there, of course. You're never going to be perfect throughout the game, so I never worry about him. We will have Cory Perry in a couple minutes. He'll be the first one up here, the vet who scored the first goal. I got some stats for you boys, courtesy of Swain Dog. The Oilers are the third team in NHL history to have two different goalies each win 6 games through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. The others, you want to guess?
Boston Bruins, 1988.
No.
Oh, damn.
88.
One was recently, last 3 years.
Was it with Swayman and Ullmark?
No.
Okay.
It was a team that beat the Oilers in the playoffs.
Oh, Francouz and
Darcy
Kemper. Was that one of them?
That's one of them in 2022, and the other one's in 2010. Brian Boucher. And is it Scott Layton?
Michael Layton.
Yeah,
he had like a Cinderella run.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then the 2014 Kings were the other team that didn't have home ice advantage for the first 3 rounds, but had it in the final versus the Rangers. The Oilers are doing that as well.
And that's the only other team to ever be in that scenario?
That's the last team to do it.
The last team.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, before we go into the locker room, I want to throw this at you guys. What did you think of touching the Clarence Campbell trophy?
I don't care. Touch all the trophies. Do what you want.
You won it.
Who cares? You want it. Who cares? I know like there's a superstition. We don't want to. Who cares? Who cares? I don't.
Yeah,
you don't want to. You don't want to celebrate. Like I've never liked in baseball playoffs. Like when they win and they're going to the World Series and it's like everyone's going nuts. Like I hate like the full on celebration. But I also don't like the hey, we're not going to touch the trophy. It's like you won the bloody trophy. Touch the trophy. Just pick it up. Take a picture.
It's yours.
Put it back down. It's yours. Yeah. Put it back down after. The job's not done, but enjoy the moment for a minute.
Natso, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, we had a big discussion about this today. At the end of the day, guys, it doesn't really matter. But the Oilers didn't touch it last year. They touched it this year. So some good juju because Florida touched it the first year and they lost. They didn't touch it last year and they won. They didn't touch it again this year, obviously. But the Oilers went ahead and Draisaitl was carrying it into the room, guys. There's video of him. So they're all in on holding and touching the cup. So good for them. They had to switch the juju up a little bit.
I honestly I don't care if they touch it or not. They didn't last year. That didn't work. Dallas or Florida doing what it thought would work again for them. That's fine. I vividly remember watching teams that clinched their spot in the Stanley Cup final like 25, 30 years ago, back in the day, like celebrating, be like, yeah, we won this trophy, walking it into the room. I think the Oilers did it at times in the 80s as well. They don't care. They won the trophy. Pick it up. Sure, whatever. You could leave it and then not look at it again until whatever happens in the Stanley Cup final. I don't really care. And I don't mind. Connor McDavid just like, yeah, what the hell? I'll pick it up. Sure.
Yeah,
fine.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Now, did they not touch it in 06 or did they? Yes, did they touch it? I can't remember. And again,
that's a good call, Tommy.
If somebody remembers, let me know.
I don't think they touched it in 06, Tommy.
Yeah, we had this discussion last year around this time. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. That was 20 years ago. Who cares? But I just thought it was cool. Like back in the day, teams were proud to win the Lester B. Pearson, the Prince of Wales Trophy, and then the Clarence Campbell Bowl Trophy, and they celebrated. And then they still wanted to win the Stanley Cup at the end. For crying out loud, the Philadelphia Flyers would take the Stanley Cup and put it in their locker room before games in the Stanley Cup final. Different times, certainly, but whatever works for you and puts you in the right frame of mind, let it be, I suppose. All right, let's go inside the Oilers locker room. Then we're going to get some final thoughts from Cass heading into the Stanley Cup final. The Oilers making their second straight appearance in the final. Guess who do they face? Yes, indeed, the Florida Panthers. All right, who are we hearing from, Hernan?
the grizzled old vet. Here is Cory Perry.
When playoffs started to rocky for you guys, just the ability for you guys all to kind of come together and play your best hockey when it mattered most.
Yeah, we found a way, and we've gotten better each game and each day, and that's what we've talked about, getting better every day. And I think we've found some good things in our game, and we've continued to grow on that.
Cory, you played with a lot of great players, but even tonight, they're making a push. The game's close, and then snap of the fingers, and McDavid is a difference maker than he is. Just talk a little bit about that.
I mean, I've always said it is that's why he's the best player in the world, and we have two of those guys on our team. They're right at the top, and they want to make a difference. They want to be that guy, and they don't shy away from it. And you see it out there. I mean, he takes off, and they got a push going, and they just scored that power play goal, and he puts that in the back of the net and kind of quiets our bench a little bit and calms everything down.
Ruud Bains pretty well. He was kind of right on him. Did you think Connor could pull off that move? Was a pretty good player, so close. Coming down.
Connor can do that. Yeah. That's a Connor McDavid, kind of play, and that's just the player he is.
How do you feel about going back to a final, personally?
Excited.
It's still exciting, obviously.
Well, obviously, yeah. This is, and I've said this throughout the whole playoffs, this is why we play. This is what we do. And these are things you dream about. There's some guys in here that haven't been there. Some guys in here that know that feeling. And we said last year right after Game 7 we'd be back, and we're back, and we see what we can do.
You've been here with lots of teams. You've been, you haven't won lately. Why do you think this team could be the one? Why can this team be the one that wins?
We're mature. We've learned, and we're learning every game. The way we're playing, the way, the calmness on the bench and making plays when things are going hairy and on the ice. And this group, it's been a want since the end of last year, and there's been a lot of thinking about what happened last year and self-reflecting, but here we are.
Same night as it. Good that it's Florida again. You get a chance for payback.
Doesn't matter. I mean, you're competing for a Stanley Cup, so you got to be ready to play whoever it is, and it's Florida, and away we go.
Cory, with the consistent contributions you're getting all throughout the lineup, 19 different goal scorers, does this year feel a little different than last year? How much everybody is pulling on that?
Maybe a little bit. We're deep. We're a different team. There's different players in here and different feel, but you still have to go out and you still have to do the right things and pull on. Everybody has to pull on that rope, like you said, and continue to pull on that rope.
He got the party started tonight with his big goal. It was, his 7th of the postseason, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head. Yes, indeed, on the power play, just 2:31 in. That was Edmonton's first shot. One of 2 shots that Jake Oettinger faced tonight before he got pulled. Matthias Janmark would have the other, and he would slip that by Oettinger, and then he got the yank from Pete DeBoer. Okay, guys, something that stood out to me from what Cory Perry said, and I quote, "We're mature and we're learning every game." I've seen a lot of people, guys, say this team seems different. I'm watching Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl at the podium. They look like they're ready to go for a business meeting right now. They don't look like they're ready to celebrate with Bud Lights being sprayed in everybody's face and the ski goggles. They look like they have a lot of work left to be done. And I think Cory Perry kind of alluded to that, didn't he?
Well, listen, it's business attitude, and I think this isn't a young group. We knew that. We've talked about that frequently over the course of the season. It's a group that's been around. It's a group that a lot of them, the core players, went to the Stanley Cup Final last year and lost, and they know that their objective this year is to win it. They're not just satisfied getting there. They're not just satisfied. They're not excited. Like, they're excited that they got to win the Western Conference and that they're back. Like, they're happy but that isn't the objective and that isn't the goal. And that's where you're seeing some of that seriousness. And you've seen it throughout the playoffs, I think, from McDavid and Draisaitl, where it's like each game and each series is just an opportunity to move closer and closer to the goal. And the job's not done yet. So I'm happy that they're stone facing this. I'm happy that they're not overly excited. I'm also happy that they touched the dang trophy, because it's like, yep, we got this. This is great. Let's smile and grab this and bring it to the room and be happy. And then let's refocus and move on to the next thing, which is to kick the Kitties into next week and to win a Stanley Cup. So I it's a good thing.
Hernan?
Yeah, no, they've been like that this whole time, right? Like when they beat Vegas, Connor in his postgame looked pissed off. He even snapped at a few of the reporters, right? Like
he looks pissed off right now, and Leon doesn't look much happier. I'll be honest with you.
But it's all business. It's hey, we haven't won anything, and and I go back to last year and the heartbreak, and guys, we've seen the old Oilers did. Every team's gone through heartbreak, and you learn so much from that. And you hear every player kind of go back to that when they do win, saying, we had heartbreak. We've been through so many tough battles, and just you got to learn how to win. And I think the Oilers are beyond that right now, guys. I think they're ready to roll. It's going to be a tough series, but I just love the business-like attitude of this team. Like you said, they're not celebrating. It's not all smiles. They're not popping champagne just yet. There's 4 games to go, 4 wins. Sorry, guys. And I kind of like the approach. And that's what makes them scary, guys. Like, Connor's not effing around this time. Hey, he wasn't last year, but there's a different vibe around this team this year.
That is a good point. I'm going to read this one from Graham. Graham W. says, Skinner has more goals than Ranton in this series. Where's that on your bingo card? And then Graham adds, this year feels less of a quote-unquote run and more of an eventuality that we'd make it back to the finals with the team we've got. That comes in from Graham W. And they're just showing like all the back-to-back finals rematches. The Oilers, of course, did it with the Islanders in 83 and 84, losing the first one, winning the second one. We saw Pittsburgh and Detroit go back-to-back in 08 and 09. We're going to watch Edmonton, Florida do it here. It was Boston, Montreal, and I think Boston or Montreal and St. Louis. Did I see that right back there? But yeah, it's happened 5 times on 5 occasions. And then the other thing is 6th Stanley Cup appearance, if I'm correctly counting, for Cory Perry, looking to win for the first time since 2007. All right, let's get to a few more texts here, and then we're going to get Cass's final thoughts before we let him go for the rest of the night. This text comes in. It's a Hoosier in Edmonton who says, Stuart Skinner embodies this chapter of the Oilers story. Slow, almost painful beginning sometimes, but when they find their game, there's nobody else like them. Even a couple of months ago, there were some hard-to-watch games in the regular season, but this team and its goalie are locked in with excellent players waiting to step in. Last year's Oilers couldn't say that, and they were 1 goal away. This is going to be a good final. Troll says, let me guess what all the experts will say. Florida has better depth and better goaltending. Oilers out everything for a 4th series in a row. We got a confirmation they did not touch the trophy in 2006. As I recall, no name on that one. New texter, thank you. We appreciate that. Mike from Calgary says, McDry looked like double John Wick in postgame. Yes, that's a great way to describe it. And West End Rob says, boy, Skinner has skill, but Arvidsson will get greasy if need be. This final is too big boy for Jeff Skinner. Not even close. Oilers in 5. West End Rob, who also had boys 80s Oilers, picked it up. No touch in 06 or last year. Good. Thank you guys for the confirmation. I appreciate that so very much. Cass, we're going to have about a week of lead up to the Stanley Cup Final. Wednesday, June 4th here in Edmonton is game number 1. Okay, how would you look at this series almost a week out when it comes to the Oilers and Panthers here? What do you like and what do you not like?
Yeah, lots of time for both teams from a rest and recovery standpoint. It's not like we're jumping into it in 2 days from now. So there's a little bit of time to reset. I think that's good for players like Matthias Ekholm, but Florida's banged up too, so that also benefits the Florida Panthers. 2 teams that from a playoff standpoint are familiar with one another. It's lots of time to dig into video. It's lots of time to watch tendencies. It's lots of time to come up with a game plan.
Yep.
Much like last year, this series is going to come down to will and desire.
Right.
To will and desire. And I think if we learned anything, the first couple of games last year in the Stanley Cup Final by the Florida Panthers wanted it more. And the Edmonton Oilers just dug themselves too deep a hole to get back.
Fair point.
Heading into this one, I can't see that that's going to be the case. It's going to be the toughest series. It's going to be the most challenging series for the Edmonton Oilers. But I think if the Edmonton Oilers play like they're capable of playing, they will win the Stanley Cup. But it's going to be a tough ride. Could be a very tough series. I think you're going to see more momentum swings than we've seen thus far in the Edmonton Oilers series. And Tom, it's going to be a lot of fun.
We only have 6 days, Cass, to set this series up. So buckle up, baby. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great work tonight, Cass. Always appreciate it, my friend. Look forward to seeing and talking to you next week. Great job.
All right, fellas, have fun.
There is our game analyst, Matt Kassian, with the breakdown brought to you by South Fort Chev. Go see Daniel and his team in the Fort, and they'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade-in. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. We're going to go back inside the Oilers locker room down in Dallas after their 6-3 win in game number 5 to clinch the gentleman's sweep. Looking forward to the Nielsen show tomorrow. After we come back from Darnell Nurse, it will be Reid's Reid with the one and only Reid Wilkins. Of course, more of your text, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. Let's go to Darnell Nurse.
Able to lock it down next to nothing here. How critical is that, and how were you able to do that tonight?
Yeah, obviously they had their pushes. I think it came out in the first shift and made a play there to start off the period, but we didn't panic. We kind of stuck to our game, and it's another game where we settled in and kept a lot of the offense to the outside, and when there was battles and plays to be made, we stepped up. So that was we got to continue to do that and have another opportunity to do it for another series.
Darnell, these playoffs started really rocky. You had so many guys injured going into the first round. Lost the first 3 games. Can you just give me a thought on how it all's come together now, and you guys are playing absolute best hockey of the season?
Yeah, I think it's fun to be in this situation, have the opportunity to go back where we were last year. It's a group. I think we were gelling and believed in ourselves from the start of the playoffs. No matter how things were going, no matter what was going on, it's a group that's very resilient, a group that has a high belief in each other, and it's we've earned ourselves an opportunity to go back, like I said, to the Cup Finals. A lot of work to be done.
Connor, you've seen Connor McDavid do some pretty incredible things there. What did you think of that goal that put you guys up there? The couple goals?
Yeah, incredible. Obviously, it's just every the big moments he always steps up and makes such a difference for our team, and so fortunate to have him. And that was a goal and an example of a big player making a big play, a big moment.
What does it mean to you guys to get another shot at the Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, it doesn't matter. When you're in this position, you just want to give yourself a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup, and so it happens that there's going to be a rematch. I think for us, we're worried about our team game and where we can be at and the level that we can play at, and obviously they're a really good team and present a good challenge. We have a lot of belief in our group.
Darnell, speaking of that team game, did tonight's game kind of embody what you guys have been doing? I mean, 12 different players on the score sheet. You guys have 19 different goal scorers, 10 players with at least 3 or more goals. Can you just maybe talk about the effort it's taken as a committee to get this one?
Yeah, it's we talked about the depth of our team, and that's what it takes at this time of the year. Obviously, every team that you play is playing at an elite level or is playing at an elite level to get to this point in the season. There's only 2 teams left now, but everyone has stepped up, and it didn't matter what role guys play. Everyone's accepted it and put their best foot forward, and it's led to some pretty good performances by a group.
Tell us maybe the difference in how you feel right now compared to how you felt a year ago wearing that Western Champs hat. Difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the first time you go through it, there's a ton of I don't know if like joy and excitement, and there is. Don't get me wrong right now, but there's also a hunger and knowing what's coming and the opportunity that's ahead. So I think we're all excited to get the next series going.
A lot of teams have gone to a cup, not won, and gone back and won. Do you kind of get that now that you're going through this?
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do before I could answer that question.
You know Matthias Ekholm pretty well. Were you impressed with what he was able to play for the U.S. Wings for team?
Yeah, he stepped right in and was his usual Ecky self, solid all over the ice and making the right plays. He's great to have back, and as a D-man, always fun to play with.
Your 6 guys that started the playoffs hadn't played together all year. Can you just give a thought on what the contribution that you guys did on the blue line and how it, I guess, back a better term, came together?
Yeah, I think we've been looking forward to having the opportunity to all play together and see our D core as a whole. And it was a really good game, hard-fought game tonight by everyone. That everyone went out and tried to win their shift, and then for the most part did. So it'll be fun, and hopefully we carry the momentum and the cohesion into the next series.
Find the differences. David did touch the trophy this year. Was that planned? Did you know about that? Were you okay with that? What did you think?
No, I was just watching it. I got to touch it too. So yeah, it was a small thing. On to the next.
Stars Nurse playing a crucial role on the back end all series long. 21-35 time on ice, +2, 1 shot, 1 block shot, 10 hits tonight. No Zach Hyman. Darnell Nurse says, I'll chip in with a bunch of hits. Also had a giveaway as the Oilers get the victory. We welcome in Reid Wilkins, host of the Reid Wilkins Show here on Edmonton Sports Talk Now. Tom Gazzola live on location at Hudson's White Avenue. They have opened up some windows. It is getting a little bit more palatable, I suppose. I was sweating like Reid, it was like just sweltering in here. Felt like South Florida in June is how it felt. And you know what that's like. All right, you heard it. Let's start with the funny one and the fun one. They touched the trophy. What do you think, Reid Rick?
Well, first of all, Tom, it's always steamy wherever you are.
Oh, so stop it. I am wearing short shorts.
I just think I think only in a sport like hockey could it be discussed whether or not they would touch the trophy. I think in every other sport it would just be expected. I mean, in baseball, they have a champagne party if they clinch a playoff spot. I mean, I believe there have been teams that have clinched a playoff spot and looked like they were going to be a wild card team and then clinched the division in baseball. And they did champagne celebrations both times. That's 2 champagne celebrations before the playoffs. I mean, in football, well, I think they give it to the owners still. I can't remember what they do with the conference titles.
That's silly, too.
Yeah, but I don't know if any other sport it would even be a thing. Maybe it's because hockey's more Canadian and we're so modest and never show off or say anything good about yourself or feel good until you've won it all. So it's humorous. I thought McDavid's weird little smirk when he was getting it from Bill Daly was pretty funny. I don't know if he was thinking.
You would notice that.
What's that?
You would notice that.
Well, you can kind of see him do it like that, and it was pretty funny. So they touched the trophy. Whatever. It will have absolutely no bearing on the result of the Stanley Cup Final. Everybody, none.
Very true.
So don't worry about that. In terms of tonight's game, Tom, I mean, look, the Oilers were better in the first 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, I suppose. And the first Dallas goal was almost 12 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Then they were better in the last 10, maybe even 15 minutes. I mean, they really didn't give Dallas a sniff after Robertson scored. Kane got the bank-in goal. I mean, there was that one puck that flipped in front of the net, and Skinner went to cover it, and I think one of his teammates shot it away before he could get his glove on it. Yep. That was the only kind of chance around the net that I felt, oh, my goodness, it's dangerous. I mean, they just completely shut it down. Like, they got the puck deep, they forechecked when they needed to, and they just drained the clock. I mean, there's not much to complain about in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the game. Maybe that you wish Draisaitl just would have whipped it at the empty net that one time when he tried to pass it earlier, but that's nitpicking at that point. I mean, yes, it got nerve-wracking. Yes, Dallas had a push, Well, of course. I mean, that's playoff hockey. Like we always say, it's not going to be zero chances against. It's not going to be stress-free. And I think we got to point out, the Oilers came out they were like clinical assassins in the first 10 minutes of the game. The Dallas Stars looked like it was intramurals at St. Vincent's School for Poorly Coordinated Boys. Like they're facing elimination, and they didn't play like it until they were down 3-0. Then they started to play with some passion and some hunger. I mean, they made their coach use a timeout. What was it? 7 minutes.
7:09. 7:09
into the game. I don't blame DeBoer at all for pulling Oettinger. Not at all. It was two.
What about the way
shots.
it happened?
That was weird. That was weird
thank
that
you.
He called him back. That he wouldn't say as soon as the timeout was called, all right, boys, first of all, Casey's going in, and second of all, pull your heads out of your buttocks. But it was weird that he called him back. I can't remember seeing that, at least not very often.
And angrily.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised he did it. I mean, clearly he's trying to shake up his team and get anything going at that point. But I mean, I'm just really happy for Oilers fans. I mean, how miserable it was from them being, a non-contender. And as you know, Tom, and I think everybody knows, I'm not talking about non-cup contender, from a non-playoff contender.
Yeah.
Like the season's over by mid-November.
Yeah, you and I were there for that.
For them to see them do this 2 years in a row, and this year, the way they did it. Like Perry made a good comment. He goes, we're mature, but we're also learning every game. And as you know, Tom, you never know everything. And even sometimes you have to be reminded of stuff that you already know just to emphasize it again. And that's what's great about the team. I mean, they stumbled out of the gate. And since then, look at the two games they've lost. They lost in the last minute of regulation, on the verge of going into overtime. And they lost to Dallas because they botched a 6-minute span because of discipline and power play and 3 power play goals. I mean, basically, for the last 2 times the Oilers have lost, something unusual had to happen. And still, those things do happen. It's in the playoffs. They've had some unusual things go their way as well. But they're playing really, really well. And I think this could be an epic Stanley Cup final, because I think this is 2 teams who both are mature, both are experienced, and both are playing near the top of their game.
St. Vincent's School for Poorly Coordinated Boys seemed oddly direct and close to home. Do we need to know anything about you that we didn't know before?
No, just a school I'm aware of.
Okay. Reid Wilkins with us, Tom Gazzola, live on location at Hudson's Wood Avenue. For my mom's sake, they did open up some windows. There's a breeze coming through. I am fine. It's still hot and humid in here after a wild night as the Oilers win it 6-3. All right, Matthias Ekholm and Jeff Skinner. Lots of discussion all day today about those two. Reid, how did they perform in your eyes?
I thought Ekholm looked pretty good. He didn't play as much as usual. He got to 15-52. He got a blocked shot, 2 blocked shots, one of which was also an assist. I thought he did fine. And I thought Jeff Skinner did fine, played 12 and a half minutes. He looked like he was on the right side of the puck. It looked like he was digging on the forecheck. He didn't take any silly chances. There might have been 1 or 2 plays I would have liked to see him hold on to the puck a little bit longer, or simply, throw it into the corner, because I thought he took a couple low percentage shots, but that's also his game. But he played fine. I mean, he got a goal when him and his line just went to work. I mean, that's a hard-working bang away at the puck goal. So I thought effective games by both players, given their roles.
All right, I'm going to read a few texts. I'm going to take a look at the Stanley Cup Final coming up. Coach Mike says, Friday, gentlemen's sweep show, Stanley Cup Final, woot! Coach Mike, Cal in the Park says, hey, Tommy, great night with the Nasties at Hudson's, and 3 new ones joined tonight. Biggest concern moving forward is the way Dallas was able to pressure the defense to the point of passing was off. Florida feeds off of turnovers. Can they clean it up? Reid, what do you think about what Cal had to say there? I'll read it again.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. If you know.
No, I heard it. Yes,
Okay,
I
good.
think they can clean it up. The Oilers are they probably fumbled the puck away more tonight than any other game in the series.
Yes.
I thought Kulak had a rare off night in terms of his puck handling, though he still wound up plus 3 on the game.
3, yeah.
He did take the one penalty. Of course, Florida's going to play that way, and at times they will be able to do it to the Oilers. But I also think Edmonton's going to be able to do that to Florida, because I think Edmonton can get in there and force players to make mistakes, and that's what it's going to be all about. Good players still sometimes make mistakes, but I think with Florida and Edmonton, more often than not, they make the safe play, they make the smart play, and they're not afraid to go to work. I mean, we've seen that from the Oilers time and time again, more than last year's team. Let's face it, Tom, probably more than any team since 2006, that they're willing to take a hit to make a play. They're willing to say, I got nothing. It's going into the corner, and I got to go get it, or I see my line mate has some speed to go get it. And Florida plays that way as well. Now, Florida, I think I mentioned this, I can't remember with you or with Jay today or yesterday. Somebody tracked the stat of how many goals a team has scored within 5 seconds of a turnover, and Florida was first. So, yeah, they can pounce on turnovers, but that's also hockey. And I've talked ad nauseum about the play Marchand made in one of the games against the Leafs, where he was coming down the right side and had no play. Threw it into the far corner. Luostarinen forechecked. Toronto didn't play sturdy enough. They threw it lazily up the wall to Marchand, who'd gone all the way across the ice to seal off the boards. He just threw it at the net. Luostarinen goes to the net, tips it in. Simple goal. So both teams, despite all the skill they have, are willing to say, all right, we're going to put the puck into a safer area and then work. Try to bash it to the front of the net. Or like Evander Kane, maybe you get a bounce by forcing it into the blue paint. So, sure, I think the Florida forecheck can pressure the Oilers' defense. Absolutely. But we were worried about LA coming with their top 9. And
good point.
Mark Stone and the miserable bastards coming in on the forecheck.
Good point.
And, Dallas has wily old Jamie Benn on the fourth line. Like, the Oilers overcame it. Like, they've overcome what good teams have had to do. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen against Florida, but I think there's reason to believe the Oilers can withstand Florida's best shot.
Having said that, how much trust and faith do you have in Chris Knobloch and the staff to use the pre-scout of the Panthers and come up with the right system and game plan for Florida this time around?
Well, I think at this point you have to have a lot of faith in Knobloch and the Oilers coaching staff, because most of the right buttons have been pushed. And again, coaches reference this. I don't think that they make massive tactical changes at this time of year. Certainly they're going to make adjustments to what other teams do. Maybe a lot of those will come on special teams, because I think the Oilers' PK is still around 67% for the playoffs. Were they 1 for 2?
Yeah, it sucks. It was 1 for 2 tonight. It got worse.
1 for 2. So, yeah. So probably got to watch Florida's power play. And I think Florida will make, some tweaks. What do we do when McDavid's on the ice? But I also think the teams of this sort of time of year are like, okay, we know why we've just won 12 games, 12 very difficult games. We got to play to our strengths and see if the other team can stop it.
All right, Riedrich. We're going to have 6 days to break this bad boy down. How do you like Edmonton's chances in the 2025 Stanley Cup Final? How much do you think last year's experience will help them? How different do you think this team is compared to the one that went to 7 games versus the Panthers and ultimately lost last season?
Yeah, well, I think the experience helps. The interesting thing in this series is Florida has it as well. I mean, they actually have more. If you look at the previous year,
yeah, that's fair.
Went to the Stanley Cup Final, but I think it's fairly even. I think, and I'm going to say this again, Tom, because this has been our theme for much of the postseason. The things that make the Oilers different, and obviously last year's team was really good. They were a win away.
Yep.
The thing that makes this year's team different is how they can grind and how they can comfortably shut down a game like they did to Dallas in the second half of the third period time. I mean, Dallas basically like how many times did Dallas get to the top of the circle and Edmonton just shot it back out? Most of the time. So I think that is the one difference, is that Edmonton knows how to play that game, and they know how to play that strong game along the boards. Remember, Tom, 2 of the 4 wins that Florida had in the Stanley Cup Final last year ended with one of their defensemen pinning the puck along the boards. You know, they did it in Game 7. It wasn't, let's try to flip it out, let's try to reverse it, let's try to pass it and then shoot it down the ice. It was a player who just said, to hell with it. I'm going to basically sit on this puck, the hockey version of sitting on the puck, and dare you to get it off me. And I think Edmonton is more equipped to play that game, and I think they have that touch more maturity to realize that sometimes that might be what you have to do. You got to sit there and get cross-checked 20 times to kill 10 seconds.
Last one for you, big boy. What did you get when it comes to your costume for tomorrow's Gentleman's Sweep show?
Well, I may show up as a protester early at the station to protest the continued and highly inappropriate use of the term gentleman's sweep. The Oilers won the series in 5. They did not perform a gentleman's sweep. Florida beat Carolina in 5, which is a 5-game series. That's what it's called. 4 games to 1.
I love giving you the gears.
That's how it's referred to. Oh, a lot of people do, Tom.
I know. Friedrich, thank you as always, my friend. I'll see you in studio tomorrow, all right?
Tom, you and I are going to be covering the Stanley Cup Final together for the same station. That is great to say. Hernan, an honor with you as well. To everybody in oil country, enjoy this one. Your team's in the Cup Final. Let's hope they can grab it.
Reid Wilkins, everybody, host of the Reid Wilkins Show. Nice way to end his segment. That's Reid's Read, brought to you by Edmonton Garrison Memorial Golf and Curling Club. Fall in, golfers! Edmonton Garrison Memorial Golf Club is open to the public, and memberships are still available. Join the ranks today and experience top-tier golf with a proud military tradition. For more info, visit EGM Golf to enlist. Nicely done, Friedrich. All right, let's go to the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy turning point of the game. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You, me, we've got a bag of frozen peas. So get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca. I'm going to go with Connor McDavid. And I'm going to say when he scored on the partial breakaway, I thought that was the dagger. Again, a little bit reminiscent of that goal to end the period with 18.8 seconds a couple games ago. To me, that was the dagger for the Oilers. That was the turning point. There was a bit of a seesaw back and forth battle. And I think when McDavid buried that one, you knew it was going to be a good night for the Edmonton Oilers. So that, to me, is going to be the Advantage Sport Med and Physiotherapy turning point of the game. McDavid's goal on the breakaway, turns on the Jets, little juke and a little jive, and then back to the forehand past Casey to Smith, who, when you watch it again, you're like, the Smith did not have a chance on that goal. All right, Hernan Salas, do you want to read any text, or do you want to get to the player of the game? What do you want to do, big guy?
I can do the player of the game if you.
All right,
like.
Go for it. I'll read the liner. Do you want to? You read the liner if you got it, or do you want me to?
You can read it. I don't have.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, you have it. I send the lineup to you and Cass and Coob every day. David Bunting, real estate player of the game. David Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. Community driven. He understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Do you hear that song?
I do.
You're going to be singing this tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. We're coming in hot. Player of the game, Tom. You just mentioned this gentleman for your turning point, and he's going to get the player of the game. El Capitan, Connor McDavid. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, 20-20, time on ice, 3 shots, 3 blocks, 3 hits. His goal was the dagger for me. Connor McDavid was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He gets the Damon Bunting player of the game for the agency. And I feel like I haven't picked him in a while, which is kind of weird. But it also shows why the Oilers are back in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Hey, yo no soy marinero.
Yo no soy marinero.
No, close enough. Close enough.
Hey,
Colin.
That's the best I've heard here at the station. So,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Italian, and I can butcher my way through some Italian, not a lot, and French, to be honest. Colin Ellerslie texting in says, Tom, that backdrop behind you couldn't get any better right now. If you're not watching and you're listening on iHeart, tune in, and EdmontonSportsTalk.com's audio player, the sunset behind me. You can still see a little bit of sky blue, but it's getting darker, and the old Strat, staple in this city, a legendary building, lit up nicely. White Avenue, peaceful compared to 19 years ago around this time. And you know what? Fun was definitely had here in a much more mature way than back in 2006. And we'll see what happens in about 2 weeks from now. So a great night over here at Hudson's on White Avenue. Yes, Hernan.
I'm just looking at the schedule. It's exciting, man. To be able to cover and be a part of a pre and post game show in the Stanley Cup Finals, kind of cool. Yeah, it's wild, Tom. It's wild. It's I can't wait, man. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We get the weekend off. Well, you still do Saturday. Sorry, hello hockey, but you know
I don't know what these weekends are that you talk about. I get one day sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And these split shifts, you do the split shifts too, but yeah, this whole weekend nonsense, I don't understand. I barely had any in the last 2 years.
But Tom, the positive is you're off at noon.
Yes, thank you. Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
You don't have to come back and do all that stuff. So we're back Wednesday. We'll rest up. We'll get fueled up and ready to go for this final that I think is going to be awesome. Like, these two teams are great. You know, last year was a little bit different because both teams were looking for their first, cup in a long, long time. Well, Florida was looking for the first cup. Now you have them who have a cup and looking to go back-to-back. You're looking at the Oilers for their first. The matchups are just incredible, Tom. Truly incredible. And we're going to break it down leading up to Wednesday, of course. Mm-hmm. But it's I don't think you could ask for a better Stanley Cup final right now. And that obviously a little biased because we're in Edmonton. But just looking at these two teams, I can't think of a better one.
These are the two best teams in the National Hockey League built for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I think... listen, and Florida didn't have a excellent, superb, over-the-top regular season. Neither did the Oilers. The Oilers had problems this regular season. So did Florida. But when it came down to it, and I think it's pretty clear to say that the strategy of the Oilers to rest up guys and make sure their wounds were healed worked. Florida, same thing. So that's a tip of the cap to the coaching and management teams from both franchises, understanding the gauntlet that is the Stanley Cup playoffs. And here we go. These two teams are going to go at it again. And I think we're in for just an absolute battle. And it could go 7 again. I don't know who's going to win. I want to say the Edmonton Oilers are going to win. I would love to see the Edmonton Oilers win another Stanley Cup for the sake of this fan base and everything it has been through. Just to have this city jubilant once again, that would be lovely. And, I think it would be great. Do you want to come on?
People are jumping behind you trying to get in this shot.
Oh, they're trying to jump on. I was saying Connor's the manager. Oh, he's happy. He's excited. He barely remembers 2006. He was just a bebe back in 2006. I think I said it last year. I kind of remember 1990. I think my dad took me to the parade, and I sat on his shoulders, but I was 3 or 4 years old. But
I went to the airport. My dad picked us up at lunchtime. Me, my sister, and my cousins. We went to the airport to meet the team. It was chaos, Tommy.
It was. I don't deny. I don't doubt it for a second. I've gone down this rabbit hole in recent weeks where I keep finding somebody has posted old stories from CTV, CBC, ITV before it became global, and TSN in the early years, and it showed the airport, and it showed Jasper Avenue and how wild and crazy it was. You would always hear the stories from, my dad, uncles, older friends, people you work with that were younger but still out and of legal age or maybe just under legal age, and they partied and they celebrated, and you're watching the Oilers lose and be terrible through a decade of darkness. You're like, I wonder if that actually happened, or is it just some myth these older people were talking about? And it's kind of cool to see the younger generation now get to experience it, because, I mean, for 20 years now, so, well, let's call it 10 to 15, maybe 20, because that 2006 run was a bit of an anomaly, certainly, but, like, I grew up on the 90s Oilers. They sucked. They weren't good. You rooted for them to finish 7th or 8th, squeak into the playoffs, and hope that maybe you get a miracle. And they delivered 2 miracles in 97 and 98. And then Dallas mopped the floor with them every other year after that. And then they get to the Stanley Cup Final in 06. Miracle run there. Cinderella story, absolutely. Then it all dismantles, and then it comes unglued for a decade and some of darkness. You know, and here you are. They get super fortunate with winning the draft lottery in 15. Things were looking good in 17. Peter Chiarelli kind of panics and starts trading away guys, and all the good he did, he undid, a season later. So it's been a wild ride, and this fan base has been through a lot. And, I tell people I don't cheer for the team anymore. I am happy for the fan base. I'm happy for the city. I'm happy for my friends and family that love this team. To me, that's the best part. And there are friends that are working for the team and people I keep close with, to me, that I want to see them win too. And maybe they get this opportunity, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited for this upcoming series.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man, and I kind of share that. It's just to see it. I mean, we have experiences. We were young, though. We were kids the last time they won. We were in 06. We were young adults and so close. Of course, Game 7 again, and then after that, it was just all bad. So, yes, like Reid says, and I think we said it yesterday. Like, embrace this. Like, in your lifetime, some people never see their team win, and you might get it once. You might be able to see it twice, but and listen, they got 4 wins to go. But to have your team in back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, I think it's something you'll always cherish, and you'll remember exactly where you were for each game and what you did, and let's just hope for the best. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be beautiful. Let's just go, man. You're there. Yeah. You got to believe in these guys from everything you've seen from them, Tom.
I like their chances.
Yeah, people are always like, Hernan, you're so positive this year. You're actually no longer Latino heat. You're Latino cool. I
saw that. That was funny.
I see a different team, man. I see a team that's ready to take this and do something we've all been waiting for since Connor McDavid got drafted. So, it all gets going Wednesday, Tom. We'll relax for sure.
Yeah.
But
we need to. Trust me. Yeah.
We'll preview the series to death all leading up to Wednesday here on Edmonton Sports Talk. So lots of fun to come. Tomorrow we'll have 6-6 content. You're not going to want to miss the Nielsen Show. You all know why. The Gentleman's Sweep Show. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Can't wait. And then hopefully I see a lot of you at the Elks game tomorrow as well, because that's going to be great as well.
I'll be there. We're rocking my shorty pants. I'm very excited for the Elks game tomorrow. I think that's going to be the only one I don't work. Maybe there's another one in there where Shoggy slides in, but it looks like I'll be working most of them, and I'm very excited about that. Got to talk to Dusty and Maddie about next week. I have an idea because I have to be in Calgary for the Stamps home opener. I want to wind things down. I think the best way to do it is with some texts from our listeners and our viewers. So I think that'll be the most appropriate way to do it as the Oilers win the Western Conference and punch their ticket for a second consecutive year to the Stanley Cup Final. Let's go to Troll. Troll texts in, says, let's hope Kane has a repeat performance of 2022 when he shut down the Rat and the Weasel on the Flames. And then Troll says, I was 5 in 1990. All I remember was going to Commonwealth with my mom to watch the parade, and Florida drafting Ekblad in Buffalo taking Reinhart was like a lottery win for the Oilers as well. Good text, Troll. So you're about a year older than me there. Conroe, Texas says, Arvidsson, way more noticeable than Skinner. No controversy in my mind. Just nice having options on the bench. On a related note, where the hell was Jamie Benn? You know what, Conroe, Texas? I actually thought about that during the game. I saw him a couple of times on a PK, and I was like, man, he's getting up there. He played a hard style of hockey for a long time. And then Conroe, Texas adds, Tommy, there was no legal age back in those days. We were all drunk. Bravo, sir. Bravo. JCD 780, checking out the backdrop. Oh boy, that's something. Somebody's got the high res of that one. Thank you, JCD 780. Norman the Combine says, boys, where's Dooch tonight? His disappearing act cost a bunch of nasty some easy money. And then says, hey guys, the anniversary is game 5. Him and Trey Sticky Rice celebrating their anniversary. I know scheduling is tough this time of year with this team being so competitive. Norm, thank you to you and Sticky Rice for coming out tonight. Very good to see you guys. Combine crew represents all the time. Stanley and YYC texts in, says, we going to the Stanley Cup Final. LG, quiet player of the series, number 36, cool under pressure, made consistent good plays in all zones. Good night, fellows. Stanley and YYC talking about John Klingberg. Smokey the Bear sent in a meme. Family Guy one, and then says, LFG boys, the Oil were on a mission tonight, and there was nothing Dallas could do to stop them. Absolutely brilliant. Now let's go kick the Matthew Tkachuk punk his ass on home ice and bring the cup back where it belongs in the True North. Let's go Oilers. That's from Smokey the Bear. Tamara the Wig Lady texting in. Says, time for Hernan to sing, baby. And why didn't he sing La Bamba, baby? I think he's saving it for tomorrow. Are those pipes ready to go for tomorrow?
Oh, we're ready, man. We'll be celebrating tomorrow.
Juan makes a good point. Says, Oilers were never behind after game 1. Juan says, Reid's no gentleman. And there's Road Dog Trav. Says it's 9:50 p.m., so this was 20 minutes ago. Says, I want YTT to see this because Road Dog Trev wants kind of easy trivia tomorrow. I'm texting again in the morning. I'm going to do a quick refresh. West End Rob says, boys, very fortunate to have seen every Oilers final. This team on the same mission as in 1984. Oilers pretty healthy and deep. They're going to win again. West End Rob. Barry texting and says, boys, the Oilers are playing for the Stanley Cup. Let's go. And then Cards texting in says, Oilers a lot different going into the Panthers series, not just roster-wise games played prior to round 4 in 2024-19. Skinner, 17 of those. 2025, 16. Skinner, 10. Less wear and tear on Skinner. 3 less playoff team games played is huge. That's from Cards. Cards, that's a good point, actually. And Troll says, I have the day off tomorrow and was looking forward to sleeping in. No way. I can't miss the Gentleman's Show. Alarmed. Turn back on. Mary says, y'all need to listen to the press conference with the Dallas coach, Pete DeBoer. That's from Twitter, Mary. And then Nash in Whitecourt says, I'm coaching soccer 6 to 8 on Wednesday with a facepalm meme. Well, good luck to you, Nash in Whitecourt. We'll definitely get to Pete DeBoer, Mary. And if it's that juicy, you're texting in about it, we'll hear it probably tomorrow on the Nielsen Show. It's a gentleman's sweep show. What do you want? Yeah.
Do you want what he said?
If you want to lay out the quote, yeah, absolutely. I'm curious.
Okay, so this is DeBoer. I didn't blame it all on Jake, but the reality is, if you go back to last year's playoffs, he's lost 6 of 7 games to Edmonton, and we give up 2 goals on 2 shots in an elimination game. That's a pretty big sample size.
Ooh. That's heat.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's their problem, not the Oilers. Dallas is a good team. The Oilers took care of them in 5. Vegas was a good team. The Oilers take care of them in 5. The Los Angeles Kings had a very strong season, and Edmonton managed them in 6. This Edmonton Oilers team is off to the Stanley Cup Final for a 2nd consecutive season. There will be a new banner going up at Rogers Place next year, and if you're an Oiler fan, you're hoping for 2. And I know that group that wears the orange and blue on the ice is aiming for that exact same thing. We'll see as the Stanley Cup Final kicks off Wednesday, June 4th, here in Edmonton. Amazing to say it. What a ride it has been. One more series to go. Can they win the Stanley Cup for a 6th time in franchise history and be the first Canadian franchise to do it since the Montreal Canadiens in 1993? We'll find out. Buckle up, baby. Oil country, you earned this. Get your rest. You got 6 days, and then it's go time. The Edmonton Oilers are off to the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. For Hernan, Salas, Reid Wilkins, Matt Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you so very much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy it, Oil Country. Relish this moment because your team is playing for the championship. Have a great night.